Hi, class. Welcome to your unconventional Monday morning. If it's Monday morning when you're watching this, if it's another time, that's great. Hopefully, you slept in. A couple of things I would like to talk to you about today. We've got some housekeeping measures. I would like to, you thought you were done with rhetoric, but you're not done with rhetoric. We're going back to rhetoric, and we're going to talk about rhetoric and audience and kind of heighten our knowledge of rhetoric and bring it out of that classical Aristotle age and move it to something a bit more modern. We'll then do, I guess it's kind of a workshop. Basically, I'm just telling you what you should be writing about your methods and implications section. Since we talked about the discussion section last time, I want to kind of get you started on the methods and implications section. Again, you don't need to be organizing your paper exactly this way. As we move forward, you'll find natural ways to organize and move things around. But the methods and implications section, I know I keep calling it a section, but it's simply where you're explaining and however you're explaining what your solution is. So when I say methods and implications, that's what I mean. And you may use these terms, you may not. So then I have a little activity for you, the audience analysis attendance activity. So I was planning on giving you reading over the weekend, but I forgot also. I just didn't feel like giving it to you over a holiday weekend if you're celebrating the holiday, but I have attached how to write a winning proposal in Canvas. And so if you'd like to read that article, it may help you think about the proposal genre at large and the proposal genre that you may use in the future. So if you want to look at that article, feel free to give it a skim. It talks about writing a business proposal, so it might get you into that frame of, I am writing to a real tangible audience. I am telling them to do X thing. So if you need a kickstart, if you're already tired of this project, that might be something you can look at to think about proposals in the real world. I'm almost done grading the stakeholder analyses. If you have questions about my comments, please tell me. I put a lot of comments in your actual document, so make sure that you open the document so that you truly understand why you have the grade that you have. And then office hours, I think since we're not meeting in person today, I know I like to stay after to have time to talk to you all, but since I am not doing that, if you are feeling so confused about this paper, now's the time. We have a month left to finish it. So if you want to come to my office hours and make sure that you're on the right track, please let me. I'm going to have an opportunity for you to ask for feedback from me later, but if you really want to make sure that you are headed in the correct direction, then please come to my office hours. They're Wednesday 1 to 2, Friday 1 to 2, but I can also meet sometimes by appointment. So I'm going back to rhetoric. If you hated rhetoric, I'm sorry, but we are going to talk about rhetoric and audience and how rhetoric still comes into play with this paper that you're writing. So this is the new rhetorical triangle. This is still connected to pathos, ethos, and logos. I'll show you why in a second, but it's now going to be purpose, author, and audience. And these things are usually, there's one that's privileged in a project. So in this project, if I were to ask you right now, if you were in class with me, I would say, what do you think is privileged in the proposal project? I would hope that you would say audience, because I feel like I've been saying that a lot, that audience is the key. So these are the three sections of the new rhetorical triangle, but then message is in the middle. Message is what's being transmitted around the triangle. And then this isn't on here, but often their context is kind of written to surround the triangle. Context is also a part of the modern rhetorical triangle. So let's go through the points as they pertain to you. So purpose, that's going to connect directly to logos. So what do I want my reader to do? What is true? I don't mean this in the philosophical sense. I mean this in what is true to you in this essay. Again, I know a lot of you push back to me on the stakeholder analysis, wanting so much to fill the paper with your passionate opinions. And I held you back, but I don't want to hold you back anymore. Your logos, this is where you're packaging your truth in a way that others will believe it. So how can you best prove that? And logos, this is that appeal to a knowledge, to a mental process. So how are you going to appeal? Again, they all link together. How are you going to appeal to your audience's mental, logical reasoning? So this is why this is a research-driven paper. You're using research to back up, to scaffold under your truth. So identify what your truth is, identify how you'll use logos to prove it, and that is your purpose. So what do I want my readers to do? Then next, this is our key again, audience. So you want to analyze your audience deeply. I know I keep saying you're writing to a real audience, and you're probably thinking, but it's not. Like, it's still for an English class. I don't need to actually care about my audience. Well, it's good to practice, because in the future, when you're doing pieces of writing in your job, in your other classes, you are writing to a different audience, and you have to practice being flexible for different audiences. If you're writing with only one point of the triangle, perhaps with the author, if you're only thinking author, what do I believe? What do I want to say? What do I want out of this? Then your paper is going to be uneven, and your paper is not going to be persuasive, because you're only thinking of you. So you have to organize and analyze based on the audience. So you then need to think about what drives your audience. So how can you take your truth and get your audience to be driven to believe it? So that comes with analyzing the values of your audience, and determining what do they believe, and so how will they best listen. And if their values are, in your opinion, incorrect, or I don't want to say wrong, but something that doesn't go in line with your belief system, you think of the best way to change the values. So then what does my audience have to gain and lose if they accept my purpose, and be honest about that? You proved in your discussion section that this is an imperative problem to change. So you have to make sure that the audience knows that, and that's based on the audience's belief system. So then next, did I say pathos? Yeah, so pathos, you're appealing to their emotional sensibilities. You want them to believe. And then author is connected to ethos, because you want all parts of the triangle to fit together with you, because you are credible. Why are you credible? So who are you? I want you to be in this paper. I don't want you to obviously say, hello, my name is Bob Smith and I am a student. And no, not like that. But you need to have nuanced parts of yourself in the text, and your biases are in your work, and that's fine. We all have biases. We talked about objectivity. It's just that you need to have your triangle balanced. You have to be there. Again, if it's only audience focused, then why would the audience trust the paper? If it's written by, it could be written by a computer, they'll trust it less. I mean, maybe in the future they'll still trust it, but you are owning these biases. You're bringing them to the table. You're identifying them, and you're negotiating them along with the audience. So how do our value systems, how are they going to fit together in a way that will come together and work on this purpose? So then why am I credible? Yeah, so you are credible in this sense because you've researched, because you're an expert in this field. You really are. At this point, you've spent a lot of time on this project, and you should own that you are credible in this research pursuit. So lastly, again, this like surrounding thing around the triangle is context. So context, I'm linking this to Kairos, because you're thinking a lot about the time that you're writing. You're not writing in a vacuum. You're writing to a specific moment in time. So what are the constraints of this moment in time? What's this shared knowledge that you have with your audience? What's going on in the world that's making this a problem at the time? And what are the benefits of this moment in time? So you are really thinking about the moment now. That's why I'm asking you to use relevant, recent research, so that it is rooted in context. It's rooted in time. So context is going to exclude you from saying some things that are dated. And context is in the now. You have to make your proposal exigent. It is happening now. Okay, so that's the modern rhetorical triangle. In a second, you're going to do an activity to sort of practice, but it's simple. It seems like it's simple, but until you start writing and you realize, I have the propensity to only think about author, or I tend to think only about the context, or I forget to think about X. You need to be thinking about all of them because they all exist. And that happens in your writing, and that happens also as you analyze other texts. So the modern rhetorical triangle is important for persuasive documents moving forward. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the methods and implications section, because that I'm asking that you turn in a little bit of writing from the methods and implications section. So you have this triangle in mind, and hopefully you were sifting your solution through the modern rhetorical triangle, and you were thinking, how is my solution going to fit into these things? So I'm going to go over, this was in your outline, so I'm just going to fly through this again. The implications, these are the counter arguments, and then the hurdles. So you're saying, okay, this is my solution. This is what might happen. This is what the naysayers might say. But then it's so important that you then dissemble that argument. I'm sure you've read articles that are saying the opposite of what your truth is, what you think to be true. So include those articles, but then you're combat those articles. Again, you're the expert, use your credibility to say, look, this is not true. This does not fit within my belief system. That's great. And then also you're going to prove that with your positive repercussions that are coming from the solution. So you state your solution, and then you explain why it's going to work. What are all the positive benefits that are going to happen with the solution that you are about to propose more fully? So there are going to be sources here that you're probably going to find the counter argument sources in this section. And then all the sources that are saying similar things to your solution. Your solution, again, we talked about solutions in the last class. You may be piecing together lots of different things, but there may be a solution out there that someone has written about that you agree with. So this is where you're going to use that research to say, look, this group is doing X thing and it's working. Maybe it's something similar to this situation that you're proposing. This has happened and worked in New Zealand. This has worked here. That's where you'll have this evidence of your solution working, or evidence of your solution not working, but then how you are going to negotiate that and prove that it will work in your circumstances. So then methods, this is where you're going to give a step-by-step plan to explain what your stakeholder group must do now moving forward. So what steps should the stakeholder group make to address this issue? It can be kind of you black and white, where you say step 1, step 2, step 3. It can be that, but it doesn't have to be that, as long as it's a clear plan that the stakeholder group can do. And it may be lots of different sort of pieces that go together to achieve the goal, but it has to be something that I could pick up and say, okay, I understand this plan. The stakeholder can pick up and say, okay, I can do this. This is possible. I can execute this. So yeah, how feasible is this project? You have to explain all the resources needed in order to make this project work. This is the crux of the proposal. This is where you're proposing a thing. And you may have some research here too, but this is probably the section. I know I asked for 2 sources, but this is probably the section where you'll have the least research, because it's you and your solution, and you've backed it up and scaffolded it with other research. So I will go ahead and show you that in Canvas there's a discussion board, and I would really like to have 300 words that fit in these 2 categories. And so I hope that this Monday morning, you can take some time to turn your phone off, to just write in this section. I know we're writing in all kinds of different directions, but I want to make sure I take time in each category so that you feel comfortable to keep writing. And I write like this. I know a lot of other people write in a linear way, and that's cool too. You can go back and do that. But for me, it's helpful to write things in pieces, especially so that I can see the whole thing in my head the whole time. So I would like 300 words. It's not that many words, but you'll thank yourself later because now you have 300 into your 2,000 words. So you can check out the outline. You can check out the PowerPoint to remind yourself what are the categorical questions that you're answering. And honestly, 300 words could just only be your step-by-step solution. So write in this section and then post it in the discussion board. And this is worth a couple points. So for your attendance today, please, 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 for the overworkers in this class, you know who you are. This is supposed to be fun, and it's simply supposed to put you in the headspace of the modern rhetorical triangle. So please don't spend any more than 5 minutes on this next thing. So what I would like you to do is find an online article that talks about one of your interests. It doesn't have to be scholarly. It doesn't have to be anything. It does not matter. I mean, it has to be something, but it doesn't have to be anything of a scholarly caliber. So then you're going to analyze it with that modern rhetorical triangle, which is asking who is the author, who is the extended audience, what is the purpose, and what is the context. You're going to answer those 4 questions in an email to me. That's it. You are emailing. I should have put this on the PowerPoint. I'll put it on the PowerPoint that I uploaded, but you're emailing it to me. And so it can be 4 bullet points. So I picked one of my interests. I told you I have a new puppy. So I looked at this article about getting a new puppy in quarantine. My author is Katie Keck. And then my purpose is informing new puppy owners. Well, that gets to my audience. Informing new puppy owners on what the best practices are to take care of a puppy. And then audience, new puppy owners. And then that exigent moment, the context is quarantine. So we're talking about what it's like in a COVID age to raise a puppy. So that's all I want. You looked at it, you analyzed it really quickly, and then send it to me. So send me what the link is, and then send me those 4 parts of the rhetorical triangle, just so you can conceptualize what the rhetorical triangle will look like in your project. But your article doesn't have to be about your project. It can be about just one of your various interests. So what's due is the methods and implications section discussion board, and for attendance, I should have added that. For attendance, your email to me is due, but of course, as I said before, please come to my office hours or send me an email if you're feeling lost in this paper. But I really want you to love the work that you're doing here, because it's important work, it's important practice to consider audience outside of yourself and then link your truth to the truth of others. So I hope you're seeing it that way and you're not seeing it as this huge stressful thing. Okay, I'm going to go. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you Wednesday morning.